Hi, we hit 40,000 subscribers, so it's time for another Q&A video. Thanks for hanging out, and thanks for sending questions. Saya's here. So the questions typically vary based on the platform. YouTube is more writing, marketing, business stuff. Instagram is more personal, and Curious Cat is the anonymous one, so it's a grab bag, and usually the most fun. Okay, dessert first. Let's start with Curious Cat. Someone asks, what's the most stressed you've been at a job? One time I was a barista, and the woman came through the drive-thru and asked for pup cups, which are little cups full of whipped cream, and you put dog treats on top. Cute. I was watching her pull off so that I could see the dogs that were presumably in the back seat, and it was human children crunching on them milk bones. That's not the most stressed I've ever been, but I do think about it a lot. Another woman, same job, she ordered a smoothie, and the smoothie mix is like 3 times your recommended daily sugar intake. So I make it and then asked if she'd like whipped cream on top, because I thought the smoothies looked so cute with whipped cream on top. And she said, no, it's for my daughter. She's diabetic. I was like, whipped cream has no sugar compared to this. Like, this is probably illegal to sell in many countries. And she was like, no, it's fine. And she gave the smoothie to her small daughter. And it was an extra large, if I'm remembering correctly. And I said, okay, well, can you leave before she drinks it? I really don't want to watch your child go into a diabetic coma. That was my last people-facing job. That's not true. I took care of old people. But you could kind of tell them anything, and they're like, yeah. When has a book you were reading surprised you the most? That is a very fun question. Do you know Marie Kondo and the life-changing magic of, life-changing, oh my God, what is that book called? The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up. It's not a difficult title. I don't know what just happened there. It's a pretty chill read. It's about decluttering and organizing your house. But then like 95% into it, she's like, maybe if you'd clean up your pigsty house, you'd stop being so portly. Did you ever think about that, fat ass? It's out of nowhere. It's wild. So yeah, this sweet little book about cleaning is also blatantly fat phobic, but just for a second. Blink and you'll miss it. Someone asks, how do you manage internet safety? I want to have a more personal approach to my author platform, but with risks like being doxxed, I feel I should at least have a pen name. That is a great question. I've been doxxed several times, a few by yappy friends. Once because one of my family members kept commenting on a fan page that they were my family member and their profile was not private, so someone found me through them. And then just like the run-of-the-mill sickos. I'm actually part of an FBI investigation for one of those right now. Can I say that? Guess we'll find out. Anyway, I can't really speak with authority on the subject of not getting doxxed. Let me know if you find out. Someone demands that I show them my favorite plant. I can't say that I like your tone, but I want to show you my favorite plant. Look at her. This is a silver satin pothos, and it's the size of my face. She's gorgeous. Thank you for looking at my plants. Someone asks how to keep rolling in a writing session when you're writing garbage. Personally, I either swap to a dump project, which is, what else do they call that? A trunk novel? It's something that no one will ever see, and you just tippy tap in there to your heart's content. It's very low pressure, but you're still keeping the writing muscles going, you know what I mean? And it's fun. Otherwise, I'd swap to a real project. Like for me, I'd go to one of my pen names and write there because no one knows it's me, so I have no shame. Someone asks, did you ever have a point in your writing journey where you thought you'd never finish a book? What does it feel like to finally get it done? I have a lot of books I think I won't finish. And it's kind of a double-edged sword when you finally finish something and put it out, because it's like, yay! And then right after, it's like, oh no. Opinions on all of the fan fiction to published book situations that have been going on. Do you think it's wrong to be inspired by real people, or is it harmless? And how so? First off, I think every fan fiction should be published and get a film adaptation. My gut reaction about people writing fan fiction based on real people is that it's weird, but I think I might be biased on that because my first experience with it was YouTuber fanfic. And because the communities were so small back then, if someone wrote a fanfic about somebody, everyone kind of knew about it. And most of us were minors. So yeah, I think it seems strange to me because I grew up reading weird fanfic about me and my friends. But gathering inspiration for a character from a real person is different. Someone asks, what are your YouTube goals and what content do you plan to do after finishing your Twilight rewrite? Love your content, BTW. Thank you for saying so. I actually just decided I might want to put more focus on YouTube again. As you may have noticed, there's not been an overwhelming stream of output through this channel in a while. So I just did an audit yesterday, actually, of my current public videos to see like which ones I should remake or make a follow-up on or delete, oh my god, and then the ones that I should like rebrand or market a little better. So right now I'm just trying to like lock down the content I already have before I start theoretically, allegedly, maybe making more videos. As far as content, I've been working on a lot of blogs lately, so I'm kind of thinking in like the nonfiction copywriting type headspaces. So I'll probably make a lot more videos on that. Let me know if you have requests for anything. Goosh asks, what's good but not great, warm but not hot, and ultimately disappointing, and it is a quesarito. Someone asks for my thoughts on Stephen King's writing style. I can't say that I have many. I think the child sex stuff is interesting, and perhaps he could speak to a professional or a trusted adult. That's all a curious cat. Let's hop to YouTube. And like I said, YouTube is usually like the writing, marketing, content creation type questions. Leanne Johnson asks, is it worth it to make an audiobook of a short story collection? Is ACX a good platform for creating one? Can you give advice on how to make an audiobook available? Okay, audiobooks aren't particularly my wheelhouse, but I've produced 2 for my short story collections, and I wouldn't say I recommend it. It's fun. I had a good time making it. I really liked the voice actor that I worked with, but it was a pretty time-consuming process, and it did not financially pay off. Not that I expected it to. The only reason that I did it was because a visually impaired subscriber asked me to, and I was like, you got it, chief. Is ACX a good platform? No. ACX royalties are abysmal. I don't recommend doing it if it's money motivated at all. It is not worth it, especially if you go the route that I would recommend, which is where you split royalties with the voice actors so you don't have to put any money in, because you're probably not going to make it back. And after all is said and done, maybe you make a couple dollars. And if you don't have a platform, you're not making that either. I wouldn't say that it's worth it to make an audiobook for short story collections unless you have a reason similar to mine. Do not do it to make money. Do something different. Very different opinion about novels. I'm speaking specifically about short story collections. Staccato Storm asks about my favorite non-writing activities and all-time favorite books. Oh my goodness, I'm deeply into terrariums and aquariums right now. Vivariums, I believe is the word. I have a colony of orange and dairy cow isopods. They're doing very well. There's so many babies. I love them. There's literally one right here. Hold on. This is one of my little bowls. It used to have a water hyacinth in it, and water hyacinths are super duper invasive in Louisiana. They clog up waterways and cause all kinds of problems, but they have very, very thick roots and they make pretty purple flowers. So last time I was down there, I grabbed a few and put them in Ziploc bags and then dropped them in water, and so slowly all of the little bitty critters in there came out. So I've got snails and little shrimpies, and I have a damselfly nymph in this one, which is very exciting. But the water hyacinth did die. They're not very hardy apparently anywhere but Louisiana, which is why they were brought there. So good going. My favorite books definitely include This Is How You Lose the Time War, which I realize is a controversial take, Pride and Prejudice, Rebecca, and this is a deep cut, Monster by, I think, Frank Peretti. If not Frank Peretti, a Frank Peretti type creature. Who are the other Frank Perettis? Ted Dekker, Jerry B. Jenkins for sure. Anyway, I read it as a small child, and I loved it. It's about Bigfoot and creationism, but also Bigfoot. I was so plugged into it for some reason. The main character starts the book being like really shy and reserved, and she's not speaking up for herself. I'm sorry if you can hear my chicken making horrible sounds. She does it all day. She does it in particular when she hears me talking. She comes to my office window and serenades me. So the main character of that book starts out shy and she has a stutter. Then she goes through these various horrifying experiences with a tribe of big feet. And at the end, her stutter is gone and she's standing up for herself. And that's the first time that I noticed a character change in a book. That was when I became aware of arcs, and I thought it was brilliant. Guys, Frank Peretti or somebody just invented something really cool over here. Donegal Gordon asks for the biggest thing to look at for thumbnails and video effects. Phew, boy, am I not the one to ask. The only advice I feel confident giving about thumbnails is that I've been putting just like a little tiny snippet of some enticing words that the clickbait, I suppose. I hate the super irritating, big facial contortions, 6 emojis on the screen. It's so obnoxious. I think it's dying out though. Phew. I think I'm also pretty bad at editing videos. I don't know how people have the time to do so much. I mean, I guess they hire out, but I don't know how those people have the time to do so much. I'm thinking of those like vloggers or reaction channels that are talking super hyped up the whole time, and every few seconds there's a video effect and the screen turns upside down and then it shakes and then it zooms in and it's red and it's shaking again. There's a sound effect every other second. I'm gonna stop talking about this. I sound like a cranky old man. Tips for expanding a short story into a longer piece of fiction. I would say start expanding with your character. A short story does not go very deep into the characters, so you probably have a lot of building to do there. And I think that could reveal to you how the plot should go. Are you publishing anything new soon? I have several mostly finished, somewhat finished books that I might someday perhaps publish under this name maybe. Right now I am writing for top secret pen names that I will never show you, and just an absolute ass ton of blog posts. If you'd like to read those, I'll link them in the description. Also, thanks for saying that you love my book. That is so kind. Juanpa SC asks if they should write in their native Spanish or write in English. I don't know an awful lot about international publishing, but I would guess you'd write it in Spanish and then have someone else translate it to English. But that's just my best guess from here. Sam Catherine 4825 asks how to cut down an idea or limit it to make the word count manageable. I find that a habit of overwriters is to write a sentence and then they put a comma and then they rephrase that sentence. It's completely redundant and doesn't add anything. And so many people do this that I feel confident recommending you check your writing for it. A piece of advice that I really like is to see if you can connect your chapters with either the phrase but then or and so. And if you can't put either of those phrases between what happens in your chapters, there's something to cut there. Sam Catherine 4825 has a marketing internship at a small company. Congrats. Tips for marketing books I didn't write. Memes. I'm sorry to say it. You have to meme the book. Absolutely Citron 1580 asks, what other ways can setting be described besides description, dialogue, and tags? I think you covered all of writing. I don't know. Include a photo? How to describe without description. Let me know if you find out. Enigma Towels asks, longest writing session and for which book? NaNoWriMo 2011. I actually read that book in a video series a while back. It's not good, but I wrote for pretty much 2 weeks straight. I was a child, so it was before sleeping was an actual requirement. You could kind of get by without it for a while. So I slept very little and only emerged for bologna sandwiches, which I then retreated with back to my writing cave. I did have a writing cave. It was on my closet floor. Can't recommend it enough. Make a cave. TT Online Dress Collection 9558 asks, I am going to write a book about a person. How do I start the first page saying about persons, which things, birth date, death, reason behind, or something more? I think they're asking how to open a biography. So it depends on the tone and the subgenre and the point of the book. So if it's like creative nonfiction, you should open with a scene, like a regular novel. If it's straight nonfiction, you could start by telling an interesting or relevant story about the person's life. That's like a good introduction to whatever your theme or thesis is going to be. It's Instagram time. Do any of you know how to see poll responses on desktop? How Teogan, IDK if I spelled that right. You nailed it. Teogan is certainly a file that is on my computer. What's your favorite drink for writing sessions? Ideally hot chocolate. Right now the weather does not permit for that, so I've got my water and usually a Huel because I'm really bad at getting protein. It used to be solidly whiskey, but I really don't drink a lot as an adult, especially indoors. I feel like that's an out in the yard activity. Looking back on that sentence, I think it should have ended with like, when you're out socializing with friends. No, it's when you're cutting the grass by yourself. How do you feel about dark or intense themes in your or other people's writing? So this book, I'm pointing at a poster that you can't see. People call the Roadkill collection, and then this one is the Child Abuse collection. So I'm not going to throw stones in this glass house that I so meticulously constructed around myself. I don't care what other people write. If they do it poorly and I'm reading it, I'll probably stop. But live your truth. Have a good time. What's the funniest fight you've ever been in? That's a fun question. I feel like there are only a handful that were genuinely not funny at all. Probably this fight that wasn't really a fight. It didn't start. But this guy that I always avoided snuck up behind me, picked me up and threw me over his shoulder, which is a crazy thing to do. And then I don't remember exactly what I did. It was some sort of neck maneuver, but I ended up throwing him to the ground. But he scrambled and ended up like speed crawling out of the vicinity. It was a very Spider-Verse looking display, and he didn't make a sound while doing it. It still warms my heart to think about. I don't know why he took so long to stand up. There's actually a decent chance that he's watching this, so hey dude, that was a weird thing that you did. Favorite band? I don't think I listen to a lot of bands. I just listen to Hozier. Florence and the Machine is a band, right? That's the and the machine part. What did you drop on your editor in terms of cold hard cash? It was a few $100s for the first book and a few $100 more for the second book. I have a lot of YouTube videos and I think Skillshare classes where I give the specifics of my budgets, but that was like 7 years ago. I don't remember. What is your favorite meal you've had recently? Hi, Riley. I adore you also. My recent meal, I'll have the same meal for several months until I'm sick of it and then I never eat it again. I had it for breakfast the other day, but it's like a little seafood boil moment. Shrimp and corn and potatoes and whatever vegetables I've got laying around and crab dip. And it bangs. I think I'm just crawfish coping, to be honest, but it's working. How's your life? How's your pets? Life's pretty good. Things are looking up. My pets are good. I've got 2 rats right now, Mika and Zipper. And I did have them in a bioactive enclosure, which was awesome and kind of a branch off of the terrarium hobby. But it was super dope because they could dig around in it and it's a plexiglass container at the bottom of their cage so I can see their tunnels. And I didn't have to clean out bedding. But then we were overtaken by the fungus gnats. I did everything I could. I fought them dudes, but they won in the end. So I got rid of the bioactive part of it. I'm really like supercharging my isopod and springtail colonies right now because you put bugs in it. That's what makes it bioactive. They eat anyway, you get it. It's an ecosystem. So I'm building up a whole bunch of those and then I'm thinking I might start it again in winter and they'll have time to pop. Anyway, this is not interesting to you. Saya, the dog, just turned 15. Hooray. She's got cancer and some other stuff, but she's still spry and running around irritating people. I tell people that she's 15 and they're like, oh my God, I thought she was 7. So she's still keeping it tight, but she costs me so much money, like an absurd amount. And she's not even that cool anymore. She's like old enough where she doesn't give a shit. She used to be the best behaved dog that I knew. I could off leash her in reasonable circumstances when there weren't strangers or other dogs. I hate when people do that. She was super prompt to respond to commands. Everyone loved her. She was a pleasant girl to be around. She's been pretending to be deaf for like 2 years. And I know that she was pretending because now she's actually going deaf. She pees in her sleep because of it's bladder cancer. She's just really irritating and I love her so much and she can have my retirement if she needs it. I had chickens. Someone opened the gate and let them out. I don't know if I told you about that. It was horrible, devastating, but after having been missing for 2 months, Jiggy Nye, who was my little baby girl, she's been trying to die her whole life. So we've had a lot of hands-on time, she and I. Highlights include being deathly ill several times and needing to be nursed back to health, going missing for 2 months, fighting a hawk, fighting a cat, swallowing a rope and hog tying herself to the floor with it. I think there's still rope inside of her. We couldn't get it all out. And she's got this weird problem. I heard from some other chicken owners that it might be underdeveloped organs or something, which makes sense because she was so sick as a baby. But she just constantly has diarrhea. I have to shave her ass feathers. Anyway, I found her while I was walking Saya, like a couple blocks down, and I was like, Jiggy Nye, and she Naruto ran up to me and we went home. And then she was an only chicken because she's the only one I found. So I picked up some absolutely hideous hens that someone was giving away. They were pretty busted up. This is Lafayette. She's a rare French breed, actually. Isn't that exciting? I love her tail. And this is Freddie, after Freddie Cougar, because her nails were horrifically long. I've been trimming them up a little at a time as the wick recedes. And this was Truffle, who sadly did not make it. She was simply too busted, I suppose. But she hung out for a few days and she did seem pretty happy before she died. Or she had lost her grip on reality and had no idea what was happening. R.I.P. Truffle. Any upcoming book releases you're looking forward to? I'm not a very current reader. I think the last book that I anticipated the release of and bought immediately was Jill Duggar's book. And I can tell you all this now because it's over. I had a fixation on the Duggars for no reason for years. If you need to know anything about those freaks, give me a call. And her book somehow fixed me. Or it was a coincidence, but I was reading it maybe 70% in, and just in the space of a second, my interest disappeared. After years, 9 years. Right now I'm reading Spinning Silver, Mexican Gothic, and a 20-something-year-old book about fascism. So no, I don't currently have any book releases that I'm looking forward to, or even that I know about. I don't know how I'm able to dodge it with the industry that I'm in. It's probably due to my anti-consumerism thing. I'll buy what I find at the thrift store. If I don't know what's releasing, I won't miss it. What about you? What are you looking forward to? Everyone tell me. It doesn't have to be about a book release or a book at all. Tell me something that you're stoked about that's coming up. Let me know. That sounds like a good comment section. That's all of the Q's aid, so I'm leaving. Bye. Thanks for being here. But have you considered that maybe some of the people who think it's so pretentious just aren't strong readers? A theory I've been working on. I should cut that out. She was buried in the backyard, and then I found her in the front yard, decapitated, because a fox had dug her up and they like to eat off the heads. And then I buried her again, and then the next day found her again in another part of the yard, a little more eaten. Anyway, I should cut that out.